Peace and a greeting to you all. On behalf of Phil Gravink's family, I'm honored to invite and welcome you all to participate in this celebration of life for Phil. Come with grateful hearts and joyous spirit, because for Phil, death is only a comma, not a period. As long as we hold his presence, his energy of love in our hearts, he would always be living with us, never go away. And so, let us celebrate his life now.
Look at us after all these years together. Look at us after all that we've been through. Look at us still leaning on each other. If you want to see how true love should be, then just look at us. Look at you, still pretty as a picture. Look at me, still crazy over you. Look at us, still believing in forever. If you wanna see how true love should be,
The newspaper called Phil an icon of the skiing industry. But as his close friend, his former pastor, and my confidant, I feel that Phil is not only an icon in the business world, but he is also a gentle giant, a great human being to me. Phil and I often discussed about the theological issue. Who is God? What is God? And we concluded that God is a source of energy. God breathes energy to love, courage to be, and vision to follow. And that's actually has formed Phil's outstanding characters, his personalities, his love, his care for all the people around him. His wife of 60-some years still love going strong and stronger. And his care and his love, his encouragement to his family members, his children and grandchildren, he allows them to be what they wanted to be at best. With friends, co-workers, or workers that work for him. He used the same type of brilliant and kind, caring characters to treat all of them. And so we also talked about the eternal life. Is there eternal life? And the answer is yes, indeed. There is an eternal life. That is, as long as Phil holds that energy to love, courage to be, and vision to follow in his heart. These energies will never disappear or go away as long as we, the living beings, hold his goodness, his wonderful characters in our hearts. He will never go away from us. He will be always living in our heart. And that is what we call eternal life. So I would like to ask you to be kind enough to hold Phil's goodness in your heart. As long as you do so and we do so, Phil never dies. He is always living in our heart. So to Shirley, your best friend, your loving partner, your husband, is always alive with you, with your families, and all the friends. Amen.
I first met Phil at a Winter National Skiers Association meeting over 40 years ago. When introduced, he shook my hand with his big bear paw grip and a big toothy smile. Phil had this larger-than-life persona with a booming laugh, and I liked him immediately. I learned early on that Phil was a mover and shaker in the ski industry and was held in high regard by ski resort owners coast to coast. When I found myself in Phil's presence and he was speaking, I listened intently to what he had to say, as did everyone else in the room. I was drawn to him. He had this innate ability to get people to follow him and believe in him. This is underscored by the fact that no less than 17 people who knew Phil from his founding and managing of Peak and Peak uprooted their homes and jobs in Western New York and Pennsylvania and followed him to Loon Mountain and Lincoln, New Hampshire. While I was never employed by Phil, I did have the opportunity to work with him on insurance matters at Loon Mountain, which meant I was actually working for him. Phil was demanding, full of good questions, and not hesitant to challenge me. But he was also very fair, level-headed, and respectful. Because of that, he was a person I wanted to never disappoint. As I think about Phil, I find it remarkable that this guy who grew up on a dairy farm went on to be one of the preeminent ski area operators in the country. Phil knew every aspect of ski area operations. As such, he immersed himself in ski industry issues, sitting on various committees within the National Skiers Association, and even served as its president. Anything but bashful, Phil had no problem marching down to Washington, D.C. to meet with lobbyists to develop skier legislation to assist in protecting ski areas around the country. He was an integral part of that elite and important team. Phil was truly a ski industry icon. Phil and I shared common interests like skiing, hunting, fishing, and golf. As a result, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to spend some special experiences and trips with him. Those memories will last my lifetime. On another special occasion, Phil and I had some serious discussions about buying a defunct ski area in southern New Hampshire known as Moose Mountain. I've lost track of what year that was, but I believe Phil had wound down his position with American Skiing Company. The thought was that son Brad would spring himself from Peak and Peak, I'd exit the insurance business, and the three of us would bring Moose Mountain back to life. Phil and I hiked to the top of the mountain in early summer, discussing the potential along the way. At the top, we climbed up on the return terminal of the old chairlift, admiring the view and pondering the possibilities. I can still see that moment in my mind's eye, even though that day was about as close as we got to making something of it. My final chapter with Phil came from sitting on the board of the New England Ski Museum together. There again, when Phil had something to say, the board paid close attention. Several years later, the president of the museum stepped down, and I was asked to be the next president. Now Phil was working for me. Not really. The fact of the matter is that I had a level of comfort in that position, as I knew my friend and mentor, Phil Gravink, was there at my side to give me sage advice, as well as being a terrific sounding board. Because all that Phil has done and all that he has given of himself, he has been recognized with many special and deserving awards. Last fall at the annual museum board meeting, the board voted unanimously to present Phil with the Spirit of Skiing Award in 2020. This award, in its 15th year, recognizes a person or organization that has contributed to the sport of skiing in a way that evokes the famous line by noted ski coach Otto Schneibs that skiing is not just a sport, it is a way of life. And skiing was clearly a way of life for Phil Gravink. During the course of the annual meeting, I pulled Phil aside and asked if he would accept the award next year. For the first time I can recall, for a moment, Phil was speechless. It breaks my heart that I'll not be able to present this award directly to Phil. Thank you, Phil Gravink, for all that you've meant in my lifetime. I miss you already. God bless you.
Onward like the swallow going, rouses every nerve and sense. Oh, the one delight of knowing 'tis our power that does the
Phil had one more mountain, one more road, one more river, and one more valley to cross before he could go to his new home. His final days were not easy. I would tell him, "You need to fight like you did when you were rowing to win this race." But the infection eventually won, and he lost that race. At the Gosnell Memorial Hospice House, he was given comfort-enhancing measures every 4 hours, day and night. His last 5 days, I never left his side. They made it possible for the kids to rotate in, taking turns to be with us. After he passed, they rolled him on his bed outdoors so we all could be near him, touch him, and say goodbye. Finally, he looked at peace, his hands across his chest. He was telling us, "My work is finished. Carry on, family." Happiness is being married to your best friend. And for 64 years, we were a team, always together. I'll never be able to repay all the kindness shown to me through your cards and letters and phone calls, learning how Phil was such a big part of your life. All I can say is thank you for being a part of his life. Phil had a favorite hymn that I would like to read to you. How great thou art. O Lord my God, when I, in awesome wonder, consider all the worlds that your hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, your power throughout the universe displayed. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, and when I think that God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my soul? Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. It's been a great ride. So long, Phil, until we are together again.
There are so many memories of things that, especially like leading up to the opening of Peak and Peak. I came home from school and Dad's ski boots were sitting in the back room, and I was mad because I was 5 and he went skiing without me. And it turns out him and Otto, who designed all the trails at Peak and Peak, had been skiing through, laying out trails and things like that. Otto stayed at our house, and I had to keep everything a secret about starting Peak and Peak, which was really hard at 5 years old. But Otto ate dinner every day with us. Then I remember opening day. We skied on more hay than we did snow, but it was opening day. I remember being skiing and the PA system would come on, Brad come to the office, and it was Dad calling me because the lift operator caught me skiing in the woods, and he used to yell at me for that and numerous other things. Then there was the Sunday morning in the spring, we were eating breakfast and got a phone call that the main ski lodge was on fire. And Dad grabbed me and we drove here at 100 miles an hour. Scared the crap out of me, but we beat the fire department and put the fire out before the fire department got here. You could still see the burn marks in the ceiling of the main lodge. So many memories. Will of the Wisp, which is right here. We're going to spread part of his ashes on Will of the Wisp. That's what he wanted because he laid that trail out. So that will be a forever memory. Miss you, Dad. Bye.
One of my first vivid memories is flying down the top of Will o' the Wisp on my skis when I was about 5 years old, trying to keep up with Dad. As we approached a flatter part of the mountain, he turned his head back and yelled, "Let him run, Bren!" I remember feeling exhilarated by the speed, so excited, and proud as I caught his eye and he flashed me his huge smile. I'm sure I wasn't really going that fast, and his urging was simply a way of preventing him from having to climb back up the mountain and haul me off to the next pitch. But that phrase, "let him run," was something I would hear often over the years. I heard it at the top of race courses, all the way through college, as his way of urging me on to a faster run. I heard it at the top of trails on our many ski trips, as he described his chosen descent to the lodge that he knew had the best cinnamon buns on the mountain, Dad's staple for any good ski day or bike ride. I heard it later as he instructed his grandchildren on the best way to navigate a certain part of a trail on one of his mountains. It's clear that he intended this phrase literally in that skiing moment as a means of assisting us with managing what lie ahead on the course or trail. But as I reflect on my dad, I realize that it really meant much more than that. It was his way of telling us that he believed in us. He believed that we had the skills, courage, knowledge, and ambition to push ourselves further, faster, or into something unknown. This belief led to expectations, and my dad did expect a lot of us, but no more than he did of himself. And that expectation propelled us as it did him. He created amazing adventures which led to wonderful accomplishments in all aspects of his life. Most notably, his 65-year-long love story with my mom. For me, his greatest legacy is when I see his courage, ambition, determination, and love of life reflected in his grandchildren. This winter, when my grandchildren start skiing, I know I will find myself telling them, "Let 'em run," with a renewed sense of all that it means. And later, as we sip hot chocolate and eat our cinnamon buns, I know I will see Dad's approving energy and belief in them reflected in their frosty cheeks, huge smiles, and beautiful eyes. Thank you, Dad, for always believing in us and for continuously encouraging us to let 'em run.
Hey, Pa, I found you some snow. My dad and I had a regular greeting. I would pull up to wherever we were meeting and say, "Hey, Pa," to which he would respond, "Hey, kid," followed by a giant bear hug. Dad embraced his whole life with a giant bear hug. He loved his family. He taught us a lot. He was proud of us. And Dad loved my mom. Even in the last couple of weeks when he was largely unresponsive, when Mom would bend down and whisper in his ear, he would pucker up for a kiss. They were a true love story. Dad loved his friends. When you made friends with Dad, you had a friend for life. And he invested in maintaining those friendships through letters, calls, and travel. He would string together these multi-stop vacations to catch up with friends from across his lifetime and across the country. Industry friends, Odyssey friends, family, and his band of brothers from the championship 1957 Cornell crew could all expect a call that Mom and Dad would be stopping by. Dad loved to travel, whether it was heli skiing in the Bugaboos, fishing in Iceland, or biking around the world. He would always say that there were 3 parts to every adventure: anticipation, participation, and reflection. And he treasured each stage of every trip, large or small. Dad loved growing up in the small town of Clymer, New York. The original plan for Dad's life was that he stay in Clymer as a 3rd-generation dairy farmer. He did not, however, love cows, hence his transition to ski area management. He loved the ski industry. He loved his work at the mountains that he ran and managed, but also contributing to the industry in the towns surrounding the ski areas through multiple boards, committees, and volunteerism, both locally and nationally. He loved designing trails, and I can see his signature style on the trails that he laid out. They're wide open, they're right down the fall line, and they're just plain fun to ski. As much as he liked developing trails, he loved developing talent and mentoring others who wanted to work in the industry. For him, there was no greater compliment than when a young manager that had started under Dad was hired by another mountain into a leadership position. Dad loved this game we call life. He was a successful athlete at every level, high school, college, and on the world stage. And he lived his life like an athlete, with commitment, intention, and passion. He played the game of life like it was the championship game. As with every great game, there are setbacks and comebacks, but he was all in all the time. Dad's game is over now, but he most certainly won. And this game just became an instant classic. Thanks, Dad.
Grandpa Gravink. I remember camp, fishing, horseshoes, boating, cribbage, lobsters. I don't know what Grandpa's life was like outside camp, but his accomplishments allude to an industrious, generous, and hard-working man. At camp, through the eyes of a grandchild, he was a happy and fun-loving man. Always a chuckle, always a smile, sometimes a pipe, and always ready to engage in the next fun activity with his grandchildren. Hi, Grandpa. I'd like to recognize another achievement to your accomplishments, the Grandfather Lifetime Achievement Award. Awarded for the excellent example you set as an adult and all the happiness you brought to your grandchildren. Thank you, Grandpa, for all your hard work. Thank you for the positive influence you've had on us. And until next time, rest well.
Hey Grandpa, to say I'm going to miss you is a huge understatement. You've had an incredible influence on my life. You were always the ski industry legend and the weekend warrior fisherman. But most importantly, you were my grandpa. Thank you for your role in introducing us to this beautiful lake, Sebago, where we call camp. It's not going to be the same up here without you, but I hope you're skiing in the powder and catching tons of fish. Rest in peace, my friend.
For 32 years, I have had the privilege of watching my grandpa live life to the fullest and love my grandma. He gave the best hugs and scratchy mustache kisses. He never let an opportunity pass to tell you how proud he was of you or when you needed to step it up. One of my first memories with him would have to be lying on a floating raft with him and my cousin Ashley one night. It was August in Maine and the meteor showers were at their peak. I had never seen a shooting star, and when the first one blazed across the sky, Ash and I jumped so high we nearly bounced Grandpa off the raft. We had a pretty good laugh, to say the least. There will never be another like you, Grandpa, but there are so many parts of you that live on in all of us. You pegged out in the cribbage board of life, but we will see you in the next round. Love you and miss you always.
Grandpa, you were a pioneer in the ski industry, facing adversity and challenges throughout your career, but still persisting. Thank you for teaching me how to fight complacency and strive to be my best. When your family started to grow into more generations, you bought a camp on a lake in Maine. This has remained a favorite for family and friends to visit year after year. Thank you for showing me that there is always time for storytelling around a campfire, one more, some more, and that family truly is the most important thing. At the age of 65, you dropped everything and rode your bike around the world, traveling through over 50 countries. Though at the time I was sad to say goodbye to my grandma and grandpa for a year, thank you for teaching me that adventures are always out there and can happen at any age. Lastly, you created a love story that spanned decades. From a bet on a milkshake to 65 years of commitment, thank you for showing me how to love. All of these traits will live on for generations to come. Thank you. We all miss you here with us, but know that you're fishing a roaring river and have already mapped out some great trails for us all to enjoy together someday.
He was obviously my grandpa on my dad's side. I've been grateful to have known him very well throughout my 30 years because I barely knew my grandpa on my mom's side before he passed away 15 years ago. I remember he had a lot of fun ideas of what me and other relatives could do together. I even remember he was eager to share with me the adventures he's had in his life, the places he's worked at, and what he knew about our ancestors. He was everything a grandchild could ask for.
One thing I will remember Grandpa by is our trips to Sebago and Jackson and all the fun we had together.
Grandpa was a great man that brought a lot of great things into our lives. Because he was such a great man, it makes saying goodbye so hard. His broad range of interests and adventurous attitude made him an amazing person to know. I'll always remember Phil for bringing the family together at the lake, teaching me to play horseshoes, Sudoku, and for always caring.
Love you, great grandpa, and I'll miss you. I love you, great grandpa.
Now we have almost concluded our celebration of life for Phil. So may peace go with you. And also, please remember to hold Phil's goodness and his energies in your heart to make his life eternally living amidst of all of us. Go in peace and stay safe and healthy during this chaotic pandemic time. Amen.